Hi, everyone. What you're about to watch and listen to, more importantly, is something that I created all the way back in 1996. Yes, I'm not crazy, but I'm excited because now I'm going to be bringing it to you. This is my version of Aesop's fable called The Ant and the Grasshopper. I wrote the book, probably back in 96, and it was finally published in 2014. But back then in 1996, I also took a great team of people into the recording studio, and we recorded the voices and we recorded the music. I wrote a soundtrack for it, and this is the result. Never too late. A little late maybe, but I hope you enjoy it anyway.
Far off, amidst the chanting wood, the ant heard the familiar cries of a fiddle. Not just any fiddle, but the sounds of his longtime friend, the grasshopper, fiddling away on his forever fiddle.
Ah, my friend, I see you've lasted another winter by pilfering and foraging for crumbs. How tastes your fiddle, grasshopper?
Why, Mr. Ant, you look fitter than my fiddle. It's good to see you have survived, too. But then, you always do, my dear friend.
Mother Nature has had mercy on you so far, grasshopper. But what about next time,
Why, if I may be so bold, Ant, are you gathering so early? You waste the beauty of the forest and the splendors of summer. Please come with me. I shall play you music until the skies grow dark and the moon is full, and the gentle winds blow through my night forest.
Well, you see, it's simple, grasshopper. It is a fact, my dear friend, that this winter will be the worst of the worst. How, then, will you live? You scarcely make it through as it is. How? How will you live? Not that it's any business of mine, and not that I must care.
Why, don't you know? Don't you know? It's the forest. She gives me joy. She provides shelter from the world and a place to echo my music. It goes for days and nights. Night and day, my friend. She gives me joy and peace and love. Who needs to waste time crawling around for food only to see it sit for months? My forest will provide. She will.
The ant knelt once again, remaining silent for a moment. Shaking his head in disappointment, he pleaded with the grasshopper one last time.
But you cannot live on music, my poor friend. You will surely die. Come, this is my one and only offer. Come, let's gather food together. Save yourself, grasshopper. I cannot.
The grasshopper only smiled at his friend and quietly began fiddling his forever fiddle to the forest rhythm. And as he headed into the trees, he played a tune to the heartbeat of the forest. As weeks continued into the heart of summer, the ant feverishly persisted in gathering food for what he called the worst of winters yet to come. Others around him enjoyed the splendor summer offered and ignored the ant as he scooped bag after bag of storage for himself. Occasionally, the ant spoke to those around him, growling at anyone who dared to get too close to his stock.
Now hear this. I've worked long and hard, day and night for what's mine, and it is mine. All mine. I'm warning you now, you silly ants. You will see. I will be happy and well-fed this winter, but you stand the chance to starve. Stop all the foolish games now, and you may still have a chance. Stop, I say. I know what will happen, you silly ants. You will want some of my food, and I won't give it up, see? I won't. Then who will be sorry?
As the ant slowly made his way to the edge of the forest, he heard the grasshopper fiddling his forever fiddle. He only shook his head in dismay, but his curiosity got the better of him. He finally convinced himself that he had earned a 5-minute break and headed toward the sweet fiddle music.
Just 5 minutes, not a minute more. Time is wasting and winter will be here before we know it.
The ant arrived at a particularly beautiful place in the forest, scattered with wildflowers and green growth covering the floor around him. A green he had never seen before. His eyes opened wide as he took in the vision and focused on the ever-increasing sound of the fiddle. Finally, he reached a tree behind which he stood, watching the grasshopper play a rather delightful song. Then the ant saw something he hadn't spotted before. It was a young female ant, propped on a nearby rock, clapping her hands, humming a tune to the fiddle. His mouth dropped open when he realized the girl was his sister.
Oh, for heaven. Annie!
Why, Aunt, you've come to enjoy the music. I never thought I'd see the day. Please join us. There's always room for you.
Oh, yes, please, my brother. Come and join in the fun. We're playing our favorite tunes and basking in the gorgeous summer sun. And Grasshopper is very capable of fiddling his forever fiddle for hours and hours and hours.
Stop! I've seen enough. Haven't either of you stored any food yet? Maybe a few crumbs? Annie, you are wasting your time lazily humming tunes to Grasshopper's fiddle. He doesn't care about anything but his fiddle and his precious forest.
But, brother, this is the most fun I've ever had. I love being with Grasshopper. For the first time, I feel alive in the forest. Besides, you're the one wasting time. You could be filling your days and nights with this heaven. There's always time to gather food. Please, I beg you, stay. You won't be sorry.
The ant scratched his head, momentarily confused, but quickly came to his senses, convincing himself that he must not be taken in by their tricks.
No, I do not wish to stay. I will not go hungry this winter, but you two will, mark my words. These are foolish games you play, and no amount of trickery is going to change my mind. You've been warned about this winter already, and I will not share my labors. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have work to do.
Oh, but wait, my friend. Listen to your sister. She would not trick you. Annie only wants you to share in her pleasure. And I do, too. This is a splendid day for a picnic and a song. Shall we set a place for you?
The ant turned quickly on his heel, running as fast as he could toward his stock at the entrance of the forest.
They'll all be sorry. Yes, indeed. Winter will come early this year, I know for a fact, and the snow will fall deep. There will be no food to be found anywhere. Then what good will that darn fiddle be? No good, that's what.
As the weeks of summer melted by, the ant worked from dawn till dusk, collecting sacks upon sacks of food. No one could even imagine where he was storing it all, nor did they seem to care. One never heard a whisper about winter storage. The creatures of the forest enjoyed every summer day and night to its fullest, despite the fact that winter was a bitter, cold reality. Then, one day in late October, it hit. It was a nor'easter most had never seen the likes of. The wind rushed through the forest, ripping any remaining leaves from the trees, and cold rain fell like sheets of angry ice, petrifying the ground below. Creatures scurried to and fro, collecting what was left of anything resembling food. The ant, it seems, had picked just about everything bare. every tree, every bush, every cranberry bog. Indeed, he had an impressive haul. The ant had collected so much, in fact, that he had to move to a larger home. Snickering and giggling, the ant peered through his window, watching the activity of the other creatures. Then he turned to admire his mountain of food.
My goodness, my gracious! What shall I eat first? An acorn souffle? A blueberry pie? Why, I think I'll have one of each. And yes, some gooseberry wine. I'll have feast after feast. Ha ha, hee hee. By the calling of spring, I shall be fat as a pig.
After preparing his long-awaited feast, he sat at the table and toasted his dear friend, the grasshopper.
Here's to you, my fine fiddling friend. You won't make it this winter, I am sorry to say. Truly I am. But now I must indulge myself, and every bite shall be for you.
The ant snickered shamelessly, lost in his triumphant moment. Surely he never wanted to wish the grasshopper undue harm. As promised, the ant gorged the bounty with every ounce of enthusiasm in his soul. At last he was through, and he had eaten so much that he fell fast asleep. The ant's slumber was peaceful. His belly was full, and he was content and warm and very pleased with his months of work. Suddenly, his dreams turned into nightmares. In his dream, he heard loud pounding at the door. Cries and pleas for help were deafening. He slowly crept toward the window, afraid to open his door, and gasped at the sight outside. The ant saw many types of creatures, large and small, starving for food, begging his help. All of his friends and neighbors appeared to be starving to death right in front of him.
Oh my, oh my, oh my. What do they want me to do? Surely I haven't taken all the food, have I? I can't feed all of them. I haven't enough food.
He turned and stared at his huge stock. But still, to him it was very small.
No, I can't. What will I do?
The moans and pleas for help became so loud that the ant awakened himself, screaming for mercy. He was sweating and panting and scared half to death, but realized it had all been a very bad dream.
What have I done? Oh, what have I done? I have been so greedy. I've taken all the food in the world and left nothing for my friends. Wait!
Oh, the ant sprang to his feet with the best idea he'd ever had.
It's simple. Ah, yes. I have plans to make, and I must start right away.
Well, somehow the ant truly believed he had collected all the food in the world. In fact, he was so sure he had that he planned to take his food by the sleighful, knocking on door after door, feeding the forest until no one would starve. He had everything going against him, but he was determined to ease his guilty conscience. It didn't seem to matter how cold it was. It didn't matter a bit that the snow was 10 feet deep. And it didn't bother him in the least that a blinding blizzard was on its way. No, the ant was an ant on a mission, and he was unstoppable. As you can imagine, the ant didn't make it very far. At least not the first time. He made it outside the front door, towing an enormous sack of food, only to fall flat on his face in the snow. The next time, he battled the horrific icy winds until he was literally blown back into his home. The last time, however, the poor old ant, who was more determined than ever, plowed his way into the blizzard so far that he couldn't find his way home. After hours of laying in the snow and ice, nearly frozen to death, he heard a soft voice in his ear. It sounded like the sweet voice of an angel. It seemed that the forest had called upon an angel to find the lost ant and guide him home safely. After finally crawling home thanks to his angel, he dragged himself slowly to bed. He passed by a mirror and caught a glimpse of himself.
I am a total failure. I couldn't even help my friends. Oh, if they can't eat, I won't eat.
The final and worst weeks of winter passed. The ant had become so thin and sickly that he just slept, unable to get out of bed. His pile of food barely touched. Finally, after weeks of slumber, the ant was awakened by the sound of a fiddle.
Am I dreaming? Or could I be dead? Oh, I can't be dead. I hear music. Music! Oh, winter must be over. Oh, I feel awful. I feel so weak. If I barely survived, surely others have perished. But where is that familiar music coming from?
The ant finally dragged himself past the enormous food pile and to the front door, where the sound of the music grew even louder.
Welcome to spring, Ant. Welcome to life.
The sound of the enchanting music was being played by none other than the Grasshopper's forever fiddle. He smiled joyfully at his dear friend, thankful to see him alive.
I knew you would survive the winter, you glorious ant. I knew you would be here to growl and torment me and my fiddle.
The ant now had tears of joy in his eyes. He was not only happy to see his buddy Mr. Grasshopper alive, but all the creatures of the forest. He was practically speechless. But we all know that's not possible.
Grasshopper! Grasshopper! Oh, and Annie, you're all alive! You see, my friends, I feared that I had taken all the food in the world. And I had a dream, see? And you all needed me. And I tried to take a sackful, no, a sleighful of food to save you from starving.
The ant's winter story was not coming out very well. And as the other creatures all rallied around him, they began to giggle at the ant's confusing but touching story.
And when I was almost frozen to death, this angel called to me, see? And what are you all giggling at? It's true. I'm just feeling a little emotional for seeing all of you again, that's all.
We know, dear friend. You see, we thought we had lost you too. We watched you from our windows, and days later saw you being carried back by an angel. It was a miracle you didn't freeze to death. Somehow we knew the forest had something to do with saving your life.
Well, what more is there to say? The grasshopper smiled broadly at the ant. The ant grinned sheepishly at the grasshopper. I suppose you could say they were destined to be forever friends in their forever forest. No thanks to that forever fiddle.
You know, Ant, I'm hungry.
Well, you should be. Come to think of it, so am I.
Who knew, Mr. Ant? Whoever would have thought we'd be best friends?
Best friends? Don't push your luck. Hey, let me see that darn fiddle.
Shall I teach you a song, Ant?
No, I'm thinking it might taste pretty good right about now.